All right, game week. Guys are excited. Had a solid practice Sunday, and then a little change of gears for our players. They've got school this week, which I think is a good change of pace at this point. Something new, a little bit fresh. Get these guys into class, get them into their normal routine, and then we get back to watching film tonight. These guys will be in here studying. We got practice in the morning, so with that schedule change, I think they've all liked what we're doing as far as morning practices. Gives them an afternoon to recover, and then really for class, it gives them a whole afternoon to prepare, get their meetings they're going to have with their groups planned out. So a little bit easier than having practice in the middle of the day. So the players have appreciated that. We talked about it the other day. We announced the captains, but we didn't spend a whole lot of time on it, and I do want to make sure that I get a chance to talk about these guys because I think this is the most important role that you can play on this team. You get voted as a captain by your peers. One, if you walk down the hallway, you see that we have those lit up pictures of former captains, and there's no other place like that in the building. There's no other wall that has the graphics like that one does, and there's a reason why. Those captains are important and what they've meant to our football team. And you can see the ones that we've had here since I've been here as the head coach. But start off with Keikoa Nawahini. Has played 3 years, two-time All-Mountain West winner, awards. Recently married to McKenna, so his life's changed a little bit. Local guy, went to Rocky Mountain High School. Over 200 career tackles, 3 picks, 3 fumble recoveries. Will graduate in spring of 2020 with his degree in general business. And, you know, for us right now, this guy, he's playing on special teams. He's playing safety for us right now and has started for the last 3 years. And, you know, he means a lot to this program as far as just his leadership and what he brings with his experience, and then the desire to want to be in that position to be a captain. John Molchon, first-team all-conference selection in 2018, 29 career starts, 2-year starter, 2017-2018, two-time All-Mountain West award winner. Recently graduated with his bachelor's degree in finance in May. So we got a graduate, got an offensive lineman that's been here and has gone through the process to develop himself. I remember the pictures of him in the weight room. We had some kind of white, gray camo gear with that class, and there's not many guys left that were in that class with him. And so he's persevered. He's put himself in this position. He went down and represented us in Vegas at Media Day and has done a great job. And John's a guy that will assume that role as captain and make sure that the guys around him understand at least the direction we're headed. And he's done that so far, and so very proud of him. And then David Moa, you know, missed all last year due to injury, gets his 6th year back, two-time All-Mountain West career, sacks, 11.5 sacks, recently graduated with a bachelor's degree in communication in May, and then eventually wants to become a personal trainer when football at some point ends for him. But here's a guy now that he's had his picture on the side of the stadium, a guy that's been doing all the things we've asked him to do, is coming off an injury, so you get a chance to see a guy, a true starter, a captain, work through some of those type of things, and guys get banged up in this sport, as we know. But everything we've asked him to do, and more importantly, what he's been doing for his teammates, has put him in a position to be that captain that we need. So those 3 guys right now, we'll have an honorary captain each week, and we'll announce that as the week goes on. But I don't want to just brush over that, because to us in our program, you know, those guys are key to our success. And the type of team we want to have, we're going to have great leadership. The teams we've had in the past that have won, they've had great leadership, and I think these 3 guys can handle that as long as the team around them will accept it and understands the direction that we're going. As far as Florida State, you know, last year 5-7, Willie Taggart's there. They announced their starter today, James Blackman, so congratulations to him. He's the younger player. I know there was 2 transfers behind him that came in to play, and he won the job. So congratulations to him. And I do expect that probably one of those other quarterbacks will play. I don't know which one is ahead, but, you know, early in the season, you probably see something like that. And I don't think it's, you know, try to be a gimmick or anything. You just probably see one of them play. Tailback Cam Akers, very good player. New OC, Kendall Briles. And we've got a chance to play against him before. Defensively, multiple. I think they're changing some things up on the defensive side. They got good speed and length. That's what you see from their defense. 21 Marvin Wilson, very good player. Stanford Samuels got a great name and is also a fantastic player, and statistically has done very well. And when our guys watch him, a lot of respect for how he plays the game. And then special teams, good specialists, very good returners. So right now there's probably a few questions there on just what we're going to do and what they're going to do on special teams. So just having our plan, getting our guys ready, and preparing them the best we can to go out there and play fast and do what we have to do assignment-wise. But our guys, like I said, they're looking forward to it. It's a change of pace, a chance to go out there and compete against somebody else other than ourselves, and we're looking forward to the challenge. So, questions?
I know we've already talked quite a bit about Hank, but having not seen him in an actual live game yet, I was curious to know what kind of ability does he have with his legs?
No idea, because I haven't seen him in a real game. I've seen him in practice, and I think he moves around. I think he's done some things in practice, pocket awareness-wise, but he's got to go out there and play. I mean, you could ask me all these questions about the quarterback position, and until he goes out there and plays, a lot like you, I've seen more film on him, but I can't sit there and tell you what he's going to do in a game. I hope he does well. I hope his scrambling ability is fantastic. I hope he rips off a 4.40, all right, when he takes off and runs, but, that remains to be seen. So, yeah, we'll see.
With the running back battle, we see Rob Mahone listed first on the depth chart. What? I know it's obviously going to be multiple guys, but what did Rob do during camp to at least be listed first on the depth chart today?
He didn't let those other two guys beat him out, really, when it comes down to it. I mean, it's pure competition. He's getting pushed by Van Buren, and I've told you guys how I feel about Van Buren. He's going to play. Van Buren is going to have a significant role in this season, in this offense. George Halani will play. He will have a role on this team. And what Rob has done, Rob had some struggles last year. He didn't make it in the bowl game. And Rob has overcome those things. And to his credit, it's always about bashing guys that don't do things right. And he didn't do things right leading into the bowl game as far as getting himself eligible to go out there and play. But since then, he's done everything that he's been asked to do, and to the best of his ability. So to me, that just carried over. I think his life has carried over into football. So he's been challenged by two other players that are going to play for us, and he keeps elevating himself in those practices to put him in a position to be the starter and to go out there and play. But all three of those guys, they'll roll in there. I don't know how much, so I'm not going to put a number on that, but you'll see them. They'll play on special teams. They'll be a part of the game plan. But as far as Rob goes, he continues that, and this process now that he has with his day-to-day, that's what I've seen from him. And to me, that's what I appreciate. I like to see guys – football's awesome, and I want to see them go out there and perform and do well at practice, but I like to see guys overcome some adversity. And, we don't see that enough from people and young people. When there's a little bit of a challenge, you can fold your tent or you can step up and get better, and that's exactly what he's done. So he's shown commitment, toughness, discipline to put himself in that position, and he's run hard. So if you want to know the football part of it, he runs hard, he's practiced hard, he's been in the film room, he's worked extremely hard in the classroom, and he's put himself in that position. That needs to continue because there's a lot of competition at that spot. And healthy competition, those guys, that's a family in that room right there, but at the same time, they all want to play. You got one football, and how do we utilize them all?
After the second scrimmage, you had kind of mentioned that you maybe had an idea of where you were possibly going to go with the quarterback competition, and did say that maybe someone really stepped up and kind of caught your eye. Was that a case of, were you leaning maybe to Chase and then Hank really impressed you, or was it maybe the other way around?
No, I just had to say something to you guys. That was really it. I didn't know what else to say, so I thought that sounded good. It obviously caught your attention, right? No, not necessarily. I could have said that every single day. I mean, really, every day was one of those, hey, right there you're like, all right, that's it, and then another guy comes out and does well. The one thing I would say about all the quarterbacks, there wasn't something in there that we were like, oh, no, like that guy has no shot. It was just the back and forth of those guys competing. And, nobody's asked about the other quarterbacks. Riley Smith has gotten better, Jalen Henderson, all those guys. You don't ask about them, but they're there. And you'll be surprised. One of those guys will be out there before you know it, but nobody's asked about him. So that's okay. You want to talk about Hank and you want to talk about Chase, fine. Those other guys are in the mix too. And you'll see them play, and then we'll talk about them after you do. So that group has competed. That group has pushed. That group obviously has, in my opinion, elevated. Coach Hill's done a great job with them. And, you know, I feel like where we are right now is about where we should be. But you want me to sit there and say that, you know, this is 100% and, you know, we feel like we got all the answers. That's not the case. It's not going to be that way whatsoever. And I like where Hank's at. I think he's prepared himself to be in this position. I like where Chase is at. I like what Jalen's doing. You know, Jalen Henderson, if you guys want to know about him a little bit, he's been throwing the ball as good as anybody I've seen. That guy has done really well, so we'll see how that all works itself out.
When it comes to recruits, there's a few things that mean more, but when it comes
Is there
to
what now?
When it comes to recruits, stars mean a lot to them. When it comes to, you know, getting wins on the field, it doesn't mean that much. Still, you look at the history of your program, you've had 8 or so 4-star recruits, and right now you look at Florida State, and they got close to 50 on their roster. So I'm just curious, what does that mean about the level of talent that they try to chase, and then how do you guys continue to maximize the talent that you bring in each and every year?
Yeah, let me give you, this is my thought on stars. Like when they talk about 4- and 5-star guys, those are almost like guys that you don't even have to coach. They just roll in, they're so good, and they just go play, right? That would be what I would hope that 5-star guy would be like. He's just got this fantastic player. It's not the case. And, you know, it's all that recruiting world. And we kind of talked about this the other day. You know, like I told you, recruiting's fun. It's so, there's so many people putting their opinion on what type of player this guy is, and really not even in the factors that matter. Like, I'll use the quarterback position. Who cares if they're tough? They don't care. They don't care if they're tough. They don't care if they're disciplined. They care about the decision-making, the accuracy as long as it's good enough and it fills whatever they want to say about a guy. And then the leadership piece, you know, there's stories on it, but they don't really know that. And so I don't put a whole lot of stock into other people's opinion. We just try to put it into what we believe and what we think. And I don't mean that's a bad thing. And everybody has their system, and this is certainly not bashing that system, because like for triple option, and other people do. They kind of have their deals, and certainly that offense that Coach Briles has run, and we have seen that, they do a good job with it. And I think he's a good play caller. I think they have what they do. And we were playing against, at that time, Baylor, and they'd been in this system for a while. And those players, even at that time, that team might have struggled, but they were really good at what they did, and they had good players. And I don't think that's any different. I think Florida State's got really good players. I don't know all their preparation and where they are right now, but I'm going to sit there and think that what I've seen and what Coach Briles has done and what I got a chance to witness is very good. And so we'll do everything we can to simulate that with the tempo, but our scouts are not going to go out there and run that offense as well as somebody else that's been doing it since the spring. And we just have to do the best we can. And I think it's also in reverse too, our defense and what we're doing, can they replicate that? Our offense, it's just, that's really the challenge each and every week, is how do you prepare yourself for those type of challenges? And right now we have an idea, because some of us have been through it and we've seen it, and some of our players that are playing in this game have seen it and been through it. So we'll see how that helps us, hopefully, as we get into this game. But yeah, I got a lot of respect for what they do.
Yeah, obviously, whether it was Georgia or Virginia Tech, I mean, you guys have obviously played in some of these games to kick off the season, in national stage. What does the opportunity do for you guys, I guess, in the first game, potentially, just to be out there on a national stage? And we were talking to some of your players last week, and they were using words like surreal and dream come true, to play a school like Florida State that they were playing on a video game. How do you kind of keep them from getting wide-eyed playing in an NFL stadium against a team like that when obviously it's a game that you need to win?
Well, I think if I could translate for them a little bit, I think what they're saying is this is why you come to Boise State to play in games like that, right? They watched Boise State play teams like that. Make no mistake about it, we're excited. These are great opportunities for us to go out there and kickstart the season against a really good opponent and go out there and play hopefully our best football. We've been practicing since last spring. I mean, really, we've had more time off, no bowl game. So these guys have been getting themselves ready to go out there and compete. And I hope our guys are excited about it. I hope they look forward to going out there and getting in that stadium and playing against Florida State. Florida State's got tradition and history and tremendous success. And everybody knows who Florida State is. So, for our guys, if you don't feel that way, then I would be concerned. I would be worried about, all right, do you have it inside you that gets you motivated to go out there and compete at the highest level? Because if you don't, we're going to get ourselves in trouble. I don't think that's this team. I think this team understands those are the games, the Virginia Techs, that we go out there and to play in a stadium like that. And that's probably one of the more similar games like this that we played in, that I was a part of. And the opportunities you have, and also knowing that you're playing a really good football team. So the expectations, all these other factors are great. When that ball is kicked off, it's time to play. And you got to go play 4 quarters. And if our team has the discipline and that toughness to be able to do that consistently through the game, and the preparation leading up to it is proper, what it needs to be, then we just got to go out there and enjoy it, which I hope they all do. I want them to have fun. I want them to enjoy that environment. I want them to enjoy playing Florida State. I want them to enjoy to hear that chant. When you hear it out there, you know what it is, and they're going to hear it, and to go out there and respond. If we can respond to that and still rise up throughout the game and play at a high level, then these are the opportunities you work for, right? And this is why these guys, they look at that schedule and they sit there and they want to come to Boise State to play in a game like this. We want guys like that, not the guys that are like, oh crap, we got to go play in a game like this. And our expectations are to get ourselves ready to go and to go out there and play our best football when we do.
Question about one of the young pups, J.L. Skinner. What have you been most impressed by since he arrived?
Yeah, he is just his consistency. And what I mean by that for a young players hit a wall a lot of times where at some point they're being coached on so many things every single day, because just the standard, if it's not the standard, you might have done it yesterday, and so then you think you're okay for today. You're not. It's still not the standard that day. So they're getting coached all the time, and just young guys, after a while, you can just feel them like, is this ever going to end? And it really doesn't. Yeah, if if you're an elite player and you want to be an elite player, then it never really does, right? You're always upholding standards. You're always working to a certain level. And he has been coachable every single day. Not one time has he pouted. Not one time has he got to that point where you say something like, what? Just that emotional kind of outburst, right? Where you know that a guy's feeling it. He hasn't done that. He looks you right in the eye. You can coach him up. He'll nod his head. Now, whether it's perfect or not, the next time he is paying attention. And very rarely has he made the same mistake twice. And that, to me, for young players, when guys do that and he's got physical tools, you guys have seen him. He's long, he can run, and he's not afraid to hit somebody. And then you got a coachable guy that can do it so far from practice one all the way through where we are right now. Then, to me, that's the reason why we've got him in the mix, and he's going to go out there and play for us. It's just uncommon. That's just not what all young players do, and he's just uncommon that way, and that's how it's elevated him into the position of where he's at right now.
When you look at Florida State, what do you think their strengths are going to be, and what do you think the greatest challenges facing them will be?
I think the greatest challenge, I think there's unknowns about what they're doing. There's some things in there. They've had spring, summer, fall, all those practices to work on some changes, and I'm sure there'll be some in there. So just the not knowing that. So we'll have to make our adjustments as we go and prepare a certain way for some of the things that we think might happen. I think their team is athletic. I think the speed of the game is part of it. Now, I also feel like our team right now is playing fast and has practiced that way and has shown that, up to this point. But those are the challenges, some of those unknowns, and you don't have a lot of games with some new coordinators now. You got some guys in different positions. You got some stories about things changing, and I'm sure they're going to be moving some guys around. And what does that look like? It's just that part of it that we've got to figure out as we go. That's probably the biggest challenge. What was the other part of the question?
Their strengths.
Yeah, well, speed. I think speed. I think on the offensive side, the younger quarterback now, he can go. And from what I've read, he's throwing the ball well. The receivers outside, those guys they're long and they can go get the football. So you're talking about getting some guys one-on-one matchups. The O-line, don't know. I watched them a little bit. What that's going to look like, and new system running the football, so it's a little bit different than what they've done. But I do feel good about our D-line and where we are there. So special teams is another area which is big for us, and we know on the special teams side of it that we want to improve in those areas, and we got players and coaches and everybody hopefully doing a little bit more and getting ourselves better. But that's going to be one too. You saw the early games and just a few things on special teams that showed up, right? Whether it was tackling, it was ball security, it was decisions, whatever it is. You try to cover all that stuff, but we're not covering that in front of 60,000 people and that environment and all that when we go out there and practice it. So just being able to handle the travel, being able to handle when we get into those situations, go back to, what do we need to do? And hopefully we prepared ourselves well enough that we make the right decisions and, take care of the football, tackle, do all the things that you need to do to be successful.
You guys listed Moa and Wimpy as starters today. I'm wondering, are they 100% ready to go for this game? And assuming that they are, what do you see out of those two? I mean, that's probably on the fast side of average for what they've had to do to get themselves ready to go.
Sure. Yeah, they're ready to play. And both those guys, to really answer your question, everything we've asked them to do, above and beyond. David, I'm not going to get into all his rehab and things like that, but if you can imagine everything you could possibly do to get yourself ready to go, he's done it. Riley Wimpy, same way. But here's the thing, both those guys, you're talking about David Moe, who's a captain. You're talking about Riley Wimpy, who's as high a character of any player we've ever had here. They're going to do it. They want to be out there with their team. All that matters to them is that they get to go out there and contribute to help their teammates out and play. That's it. So, yeah, they're ready. And I think even more so, and probably for a guy like David and some older players, you would think, hey, I've been doing this a while. I'm going to kind of just, I'm going to get my work in. and then come game week, you watch guys really crank it up. That hasn't been the case for him. He's been cranking it up. We ran a little bit yesterday, and he's bursting. You watch some of the younger guys, they'll kind of just mosey their way down and touch the line and come back, and nope, not a guy that has that intention to go out there and play at a high level. He's working his butt off, and he should be the one that, if anybody, right, he's put the work in for a long time, but he's setting the example for everybody else. So as far as him being ready to play, yes. As far as Riley being ready to play, absolutely. And that's a good thing for us, too, having those two guys out there. You guys know that. Having DeAndre Pierce out there is going to be big for us, too. He's done a great job. And we missed him last year. You guys have mentioned, I think I've talked about him a little bit, but that guy, he's one of our horseshoe club guys, so one of our other leaders. That is a part of the 12 that we have there. And the reason is you watch him at practice, one, how he practices, two, how he brings people along with him. And it's just been different. He's done a really good job that way. So having him back healthy, ready to go, has been very positive.
With Chase's multifaceted approach to quarterbacking, any chance of having him and Hank in the game at the same time? And even if he didn't do anything, be a hell of a decoy, right?
Is there a chance? Absolutely, there's a chance. Yeah, I mean, we've done things like that before, and I think, like anybody else in our team,
wanted to ask you about. We saw Keegan in the scrimmage, and a couple guys were dinged up. I mean, like Jordan Happel's on the depth chart. Tyreek. Any update on some of those guys? Yeah.
So Keegan got a little bit banged up. He's good though. He's going to be all right. We'll get him back. Happel, not season ending, so we'll get him back. Marcus Evans. So he is one that is season ending. So he had shoulder surgery. So he'll be a guy that will not be out there. So he'll be rehabbing this season. And his happened in fall camp. I don't know exactly what day. Tried to work through it. Ended up getting surgery, I think 3 or 4 days ago is when he got it. So he's the only other one season ending wise that'll be out. But we'll see this week. Those guys have missed a few here and there. And a little bit kind of everybody does at some point in practice. There's the guys where, whether it's a finger, a wrist, an ankle, or something like that, they get banged up a little bit. They miss a couple practices and they're back. But Marcus is the only guy right now, season ending, that we don't anticipate and shouldn't be back for this year. Okay, thanks, fellas.